gifts, and you call us to serve you and one another in particular ways. Help us to do the very best we can, sharing our talents and skills. Bless our team and season. When we have the opportunity to excel, encourage us toward excellence in heart, mind, and body. When challenges and obstacles come our way, remind us to fulfill our responsibilities and commitment to team. Help us, loving God, to always do our best at whatever we do. We pray this in the name of Jesus, our Lord. Amen. St. Lawrence, Blessed Edmund, live Jesus in our hearts. Thank you. To get started here with some introductions, I'm Tim Chandler, I'm the athletic director here. I'm entering my third year. This is something I instituted with these sports parent nights here. We changed it up this year, a little different, to just go seasonal. I think it's going to be better to capture the athletes actually coming out for that season. I think this is a tremendous place for me personally to work. I think a great place for your sons to attend. And I think our athletic programs are top notch here. Hopefully all of you guys agree. But I couldn't do the things that I do within the department without some help. First guy, he's not here tonight, but my assistant athletic director, Mike Corbett, he's around, he's at everything. He helps us out tremendously. The kids love him, just does a fabulous job. The other person who, I like to say all the time, she's really the boss around here. She's the one that keeps everything moving. Keeps us on task here, and that's Kathy Becker. All of you guys saw her out there in the foyer on your way in. She does a tremendous job for us. If you guys ever have any questions or need anything from athletics, feel free to contact any of us. Our door is always open. We want to be able to make sure we're communicating and answering any questions that you might have. Now, the second layer to that on top of the athletic department staff is obviously our coaches. Again, I think we have a tremendous coaching staff, one of the best staffs in the area. You guys will get a chance to meet all the coaches when we break out into the individual sports, but I'm going to just introduce our fall sports head coaches, so if they can kind of just give a quick wave to the crowd. First we have for football, Coach Harold Blackman. Our new head soccer coach, Matt Funkel.
Where is it?
Our golf coach, Joe Sinisi.
I don't know where it is. What sport? Golf club. Oh.
And our cross-country coach, Terry Murphy. Again, you'll have a chance to meet the assistant coaches that do a tremendous job as well. We're going to get started tonight with some sports medicine. So the first person I'd like to call up here, talk to you guys a little bit, is our athletic trainer. Sort of accelerated rehab, does a great job. He's entering his second year. The kids loved him last year. Does a great job of keeping your sons healthy, nursing them back if they are injured, and that's Ricky Perales.
Good evening, everybody. My name's Ricky. I'm the athletic trainer here. This is my second year, as Tim said. I do work with accelerated physical therapy. One thing that we really like to pride ourselves on is that we like to take care of all of our athletes as if they're our own. Okay? That's how I treat everybody here. If somebody gets hurt, I'll be watching them. I'll be sure to communicate with all the parents. If there is an injury, I am the first person to call you. So don't be freaked out when I say, hey, this is Ricky, the athletic trainer from St. Lawrence on the phone. But I do get calls when your kid gets hurt because I like that communication. As far as injury evaluation, I do fill out an incident report that gets sent to Kathy Becker in the athletic office, and then then she sends out an insurance form to the parents and the household. That form needs to be filled out and sent to wherever needs to get paid, whoever needs to get paid. So that basically is communication between all of us. So that's one thing I want to make, because there was kind of confusion last year. Those forms do need to be sent from your household to the person that needs to get paid. And then moving on from that, this year we're going to be introducing a different test for concussions. It's called a King-Dietrich test, the KD test. It's newer in the market. It's probably a couple years in. It's basically a remove from play sideline concussion screen. It's based off the rapid eye movement. Okay? This study showing that you can notice a concussion before symptoms arise based off of how numbers off the park. So we're going to be introducing that this year. I think it's going to be really beneficial for all of us. And then we're also part of a study done at Notre Dame called the contact test. This test is on the iPad. It's voice recognition. They're basically going through their data collection, which St. Lawrence is a part of now, to see if this test will be validated in the future for future use in all purposes. So we are being part of that. We're basically trying to put St. Lawrence at the top of the bar for things like this. And the last thing I'd like to hit upon is the team doctor that we work with is her name is Dr. Beverly Brisbane. She'll be coming up to talk to us in a bit. She's with Mid-America Orthopedics. They do offer an immediate care clinic, which is always open for St. Lawrence athletes. So it makes it an easy process because we're always in communication if somebody gets hurt. She'll tell you more about it right now. So I'd like to introduce Dr. Beverly Brisbane.
All right, thank you, Ricky, for the nice introduction. As Ricky said, I'm Bev Brisbane. I'm a sports medicine physician, part of our sports medicine team at Mid-America Orthopedics. Our local office is at 103rd Roberts Road, and we also have one in Mokina. So I've had the pleasure of being here for my second year. I've been a team physician a long time. I'm here for my second year. It's been great working with coaches in the athletic department. I have to say Ricky as well is just amazing. I've worked with a lot of athletic trainers, and he's very good. He communicates well with the students. I cover your football sidelines, your home games at least. Something a little bit difficult for me to travel with you, but and beyond that, I come to the training room actually. I come throughout the year, usually on Monday afternoons, right after the kids are out of school, and we just sort of try to see if there's anybody that needs an extra look or whatever. Sometimes we try to sort through things and see who really may need to see somebody else who doesn't. What we can do in the training room. So it's been a pleasure. Rick communicates very well. His record keeping is awesome. Like I said, I've worked with a lot of athletic trainers, and he's really top notch. So our goal again is to, hopefully nobody ever has to see us, but we know that's unrealistic. So our goal is to take care of your student athletes, your sons, and also try to keep them safe and return them to play safely. So I appreciate the fact that Ricky takes a lot of time and researching things as far as our concussion protocols. There's a lot of information in the media, and the internet and everything, and so we're trying to sift through that. So if there's anything we can do throughout the year, again, we try to make sure that everybody's kept in the loop. We're not, we're taking care of your sons. You tell us if there's anything that you think we should do better. So as far as our orthopedic immediate care clinic, you all have preferences where you may want to go. You have, we call it an orthopedic specialty clinic. So a lot of times you see these injuries, and the ERs around here are pretty well full of lots of trauma and lots of things. So an ankle injury or an elbow injury sometimes gets included way down the line in terms of priority, and they're expensive visits. So we have an orthopedic immediate care clinic. A lot of times Ricky will text me, call me, whatever, doesn't matter the day, the time, whatever, and we try to get them in. So we do have some extended hours where it's just a walk-in, and we can do x-ray and everything on site. So, again, if you have preferences to go elsewhere, that's fine. We try to just get you where you're going to be best taken care of, but it's certainly an option for you. Just one other last little thing, we do sports physicals, so if anybody, we try to catch the kids, so make sure they have the opportunity to play. You may all have pediatricians or family doctors, but sometimes that doesn't work out. I think this last year, usually we let your athletic department charge whatever you want. We try to donate the money. We do donate the money back to your athletic department. So again, we're just here to help you out, and it's a great season. Thanks for having me back.
Thank you to Dr. Brisbane. Again, she does a tremendous job, and like she said, she just volunteers her services in St. Lawrence. I think it's tremendous. Your son's safety is our #1 priority, so we're constantly trying to find ways that we can make sure that we're keeping everybody safe out here. To circle back real quick on one thing that Ricky talked about, if your son does happen to get injured, it is very important that he sees Ricky. because Ricky has to fill out that injury report. Without that, we are not able to process any of the paperwork with the supplemental insurance. The school does have that. Basically how that works is the school's insurance will pick up whatever your insurance doesn't cover. Okay, so it does need to be submitted through your insurance first. You do have to, by the policy we have, you do have to carry insurance for your son for that supplemental insurance to kick in. But it's important. Even if you take them after practice and you take them right to a doctor or the ER or something and Ricky doesn't know, you've got to make sure he's aware so he can fill out that incident report, the injury report for us. Moving on then, requirements to participate. As you came in today, we had a lot of paperwork out there. This stuff is online. Hopefully everybody, you got the first email about this meeting. You saw the links to this paperwork. We need to get this in. The physical, that's the one that they cannot step on the field without the physical. So Ricky does a great job staying on top of that. If your son does not have a valid physical, which they're good for 395 days, if we don't have one on file, we cannot risk putting them out there. Sadly, you see this every year. Just the other day, I think down in Georgia, a high school football player passed away on one of the first days of practice. So it's something that we take very seriously. That physical has to be in. On top of that, the rest of the paperwork will give you a little bit of leeway pretty much up until that first contest. So you still have some time. Again, there's copies of this paperwork. It'll be available after the meeting tonight as well. But that can be turned in either tonight or sent into the main office. And one of those is the athletic handbook signature page. Now, I want to make sure that everybody, parents and our student athletes, actually read the handbook. Okay? It doesn't do any good just to sign that page. Okay? When you sign it, you're saying that you read it, you agree to the policies in there, including our code of conduct. Okay? So everything we talk about tonight and a whole lot more is covered in that handbook. So please make sure you read through it and you're familiar with it. Then sign that page and turn it in. The other thing is the IHSA is required form. It's called the Sports Medicine Acknowledgement and Consent Form. It includes information about concussions. It includes our protocol, so that's outlined if your son is to suffer a concussion, the steps that we're going to take. And it's a day-by-day process, and it will not be accelerated. Okay? They need to be cleared by either Ricky, by Dr. Brisbane, or another physician before they can return to any sort of competition or practice. So read through that, make sure we sign that one. And then the inherent risk waiver. So that's just a supplemental, is you guys reading it and saying we understand that there's inherent risk for our son that goes along with athletics. There's the potential that they might get injured, and you're pretty much just signing off and stating that you're aware of that. And then the final thing, it's nothing paperwork related, but it's something for our student athletes that they have to have their priorities in order. If their priorities aren't straight, it's just not going to work out from a standpoint of fitting in with the philosophy of our athletic department and the coaches. Okay, so God needs to be at the top of that list. After that comes the family, and then is academics, and then athletics comes after that. Okay, so as important as athletics are to all of us, that we understand that there's things that come before them. Okay, and that's why we say student athletes all the time too on that academic piece, because that has to come first and has to be taken care of before your son will be able to compete in any games out there. Segue right into our academic eligibility. Just so parents are aware, and so our student athletes, especially our freshmen, are aware of the policy for our academic eligibility. We do weekly grade checks, okay? The teachers turn in the grades on Thursday night. I pull those grades Friday morning for our in-season athletes. Anybody with 2 or more Fs is going to be ineligible. What I do, I take one step extra though. I track down the kids during the day. I give them a sheet letting them know what classes that they're failing, and they have a chance to go to the teachers and see. Maybe a teacher didn't enter a grade, or maybe they took a test and that teacher is going to grade it for them that day and update the grade for them. So if the teacher signs off and says, oh no, he's not really failing, and they drop below the 2 Fs, then he'll still be eligible. So, we do try to work. I don't want to penalize any kids that really aren't failing the classes, but if they are failing 2 or more of their classes, then they will be out the following week. Even though we do it on Friday, it doesn't kick in until Sunday. Okay, so say for football, we're not all of a sudden letting the coaches or the team know at 3 o'clock that one of their athletes is not going to be playing in that game at 7:30, that night. So it kicks in Sunday, but it goes all the way through that following Saturday. So even if they're cleared the next Friday on that break check, they're still out that Friday and Saturday. And that Sunday, then they become eligible again. When a student athlete is ineligible, I send a list to the coaches so the coaches are aware. It's their responsibility to give the parents a call and let you guys know. Because we all know that from time to time, your sons don't necessarily want to come home and say, hey, guess what, Mom and Dad, I'm ineligible this week. So we want to make sure the coaches let you know so you don't show up to a game thinking your son's going to be out there playing and you're wondering, why is he not dressed for the contest? Okay, so if you're not getting that communication from the coaches, let me know, because they know that that's part of their responsibility to make sure they pass that along so you guys know, what's going on. And the great thing is that everybody has access to Headline, so you should be able to be checking your son's grade and kind of should be aware of that and already know when these grade checks come in based on the online grades. They can still practice. They can't dress for games. If they're academically ineligible, it's an IHSA bylaw that they cannot be in uniform. Now, even though they can still practice, obviously those academics come first. So if they need to go and get some help after school, if they need to come home and get caught up on their homework, whatever it might be, the coaches understand that. The student athletes need to communicate that to the coaches, and the coaches will let them go take care of the academic work without any punishment for that or any consequences for that. Now the semester grade checks, this is another piece to it. So this is something to keep in mind, especially if anybody thinks that, oh, when I'm not in season, I can slack off with my grades. You have to pass 5 classes in the semester before to be eligible for the following semester. So everybody had to pass 5 classes second semester last year to be able to play this fall. Okay? If you fail those classes in the fall, the IHSA doesn't give you the chance to make those up for the second semester. That does happen in the second semester. You do get the chance over the summer to make up those credits. As long as you have 5 credits, you would be good for the first semester. But again, there's a policy already. It does carry over from last year. And these policies are set to be in compliance with the IHSA. Okay, so it's not just something that we want to do to be extra strict on our athletes, even though we demand a high academic performance. This puts us in line with what the IHSA requires, so we're not trapping out any ineligible players and jeopardizing the whole team. Moving on to the next part, just to make sure, and a lot of you guys have heard some of this information before for the freshmen. You've seen this for the first time, but even for those that have been to some of these meetings in the past, I think it's good to kind of go over some of what's been covered in the past. And some of the realities of high school sports is the fact that they are competitive, and there are cuts that are possible. We try whenever we can to not have to make cuts, especially at the freshman level, but sometimes due to the number that we're able to carry on a roster and the number that comes out for a team, it's inevitable. Okay, but the coaches are always going to make the expectations clear, let you know when the tryouts are, and kind of have a fair and open process for that. Playing time is not guaranteed. Sometimes coming from the youth programs, they might have something where everybody plays a quarter or everybody gets to get in. But that's not the case here. Playing time has to be earned. Okay, so if guys are blowing off practice or they're not working hard or they have a bad attitude or they're not taking care of their grades, they're not guaranteed to go out there and play in the games. We do have practice or games 6 days a week pretty much. Okay, a lot of times, almost all programs have stuff going on Saturdays. From time to time, there might even be something on a Sunday. So making a commitment to the team, you have to understand that. And we understand that sometimes, it's going to inhibit some of your social functions. But you're making a commitment. Understand now, it is 6 days a week, and you are expected to be there for all the practices and for all the games. And if you do miss, there are going to be some consequences for that, and the coaches handle that through their team rules and individually sport by sport. And then finally, there will be some expectations, to be participating in off-season and summer programs, conditioning, weightlifting, workouts, whatever it might be. Now, again, they can't be mandatory, But just know, if you choose to sit them out and somebody else is there working every day, they're going to get better than you. Okay? Because they're working and you're not. It's just the reality of anything you're talking about. Even if you're talking about academics. You know, somebody works on their math every single day and you don't open your book all year long. You know, I'm sure the kid that actually was studying and working hard is going to learn a whole lot more than you. So same thing applies athletic-wise. So just understand that there are those commitments. Now this next portion is kind of directed to our student athletes. Okay? The expectations of it. But I want to make sure that the parents are aware of the expectations. I got to help, you know, that we can work together in conveying these and kind of enforcing these expectations with the student athletes. So some of the different areas within the locker room. First and foremost, guys, you guys know this by now, freshmen, this is new for you, but you're not to be in that locker room without a coach present, okay? We try to keep those doors locked. You need to have a coach in there. The locker room is meant to go in there, get changed for practice, put your stuff in the locker, lock it up, and get out to practice. It's not meant as a social hangout or a place to be screwing around in there, okay? Make sure you lock up your stuff, okay? Things do disappear from time to time, and 99% of the time, when something happens, when somebody comes and says, you know, I have my wallet taken, and my phone's missing, and whatever's missing, they did not lock their locker. Okay, please, we have red master locks for purchase. You need to have a lock through the school that you're using in that locker room, but make sure you lock everything up in there. Do not bring food into the locker room. After every season, I have to go in there and clean out the lockers from the stuff that's left behind, and some of the moldy, disgusting food I found in there, I really don't enjoy having to clean out. Okay, lunches, go in the school locker, because you shouldn't be in the athletic locker room throughout the school day anyways. Okay, so please don't bring food in there. Okay, if you bring in a protein bar or something like that, energy bar, that you want to eat before practice, I understand that. Eat it, throw the wrapper in the garbage. That's different than having a whole lunch in there. You know, keep it clean. Take pride in that, guys. That's our one locker room there. It's a shared facility, so all of our athletes are in there together. So keep it clean out of respect for each other and out of respect for yourselves. I don't think you guys want to go in there and change it for practice in a dirty locker room. Okay, so throw out your empty water bottles, Gatorade bottles, or your wrappers. Okay, put the clothes in the locker. It's amazing the amount of clothes that we find just left around in there that are in pretty good shape and kind of just get abandoned by the kids. Don't vandalize the locker room, okay? That's been not a big issue, but you know, for whatever reason, we have some kids that like to draw or etch in inappropriate male anatomy on lockers, on the wall, writing, you know, inappropriate. I don't, you know, I can understand that, I guess, in grammar school, but I think by the time we get to high school, we should be mature enough that's not, you know, it's not only not funny, but it shouldn't be acceptable to your guys' space in there. That's your, you know, an area we're trying to keep nice for you, and then if we're damaging lockers, you know, smashing them in, writing on them and all that, it looks bad. And then finally, please, at the end of the season, empty out your locker. Okay, just at the end of the summer, I went in there to clean them out so we could power wash and get clean for the start of the season. And I had to take locks off of 30 plus lockers. And I have easily over $1,000 worth of clothes and sports equipment that's back by my office that has gone unclaimed right now. And I'm sure some of the parents realize what gets left behind in there. They wouldn't be too happy with you guys. So, you know, get your belongings out of there when your season's over. Our facilities, same thing. Okay, have pride in the facilities. We're constantly doing our best to try to upgrade the facilities, try to make improvements, try to make them look as nice as possible around here. But it takes help from you guys as well. Okay? If you have those Gatorade bottles, the drinks, the wrappers, throw them out. I know, I'm sure your parents don't like cleaning up after you guys at home. We certainly don't like cleaning up after you guys here. Okay, we expect you to clean up after yourselves. All right? So it's that's one of those expectations. It's pride in here. You know, I came in here before it's set up, and I came back 2 hours later, and I found some wrappers on the ground in here, some wrappers out in the foyer, empty water bottle, and it's stuff on a daily basis. It adds up. you go out on the turf field, we get ice bags left out there, you get empty water bottles left out there. This stage is usually a mess, clothes left out there, wrappers. Sometimes if we open up those curtains, I mean, it's amazing the things, you know, again, that kind of just get thrown on the ground and expect us to clean up. So guys, again, take pride in your facilities, clean up after yourselves out there, okay? Treat everything with care around here. And again, no spikes in the building, especially now. We just had that foyer re-waxed. Okay, you guys can come straight in to the locker room there if it's open. Otherwise, the spikes have to come off if you're going to come through the building that way. The equipment and the uniforms, again, this is something that we spend a lot of money on. I don't think sometimes the student athletes realize how expensive uniforms can be, how expensive this equipment can be. And if we don't treat it with respect, we don't treat it well, we shorten the lifespan of it, and then that's more money that we have to pay out for equipment and uniforms, where if we can extend the life of those things, we'd be able to spend that money in different areas within athletics. So again, you know, if you have your uniforms that you're taking home, make sure we're not ruining them in the wash. Okay, don't leave your stuff unlocked in the lockers, especially when it's a football jersey or pads or a helmet that belongs to the school. Because anything that is you know, lost, stolen, misplaced, whatever, anything you don't turn back in at the end of your season, it's your responsibility to have to pay the cost to replace that. And when I say your responsibility, I'm talking to the student athletes, but we know that usually transfers over to the parents having to do that. So again, do your parents a favor and make sure you take care of your belongings. Okay? The activity buses is another area. That's one where, again, I don't know if you guys realize, you know, we lease those things. So when we turn them back in, any damage on there, we get charged additionally for those. Okay? So please, I understand after a game you're going to bring a Gatorade on it. You know, going to a game after school, you might have a bag of chips, whatever. That's fine as long as you take it off and throw it in the garbage when you're done. And no spikes on those buses either. It ruins the flooring on it. Don't put your feet up on the seats in front of you. You know, simple things like that to, again, you know, prolong our assets here and not give us extra charges at the end when we're turning these things in. And then finally, the final part, going away from the facilities and everything, is the pride in your program. Okay, so one of the things I talked about with the coaches, I want to address it with the student athletes. When you're in a program, okay, when you're on a team here, you're part of a program. All right, so if you're on the freshman football team or the sophomore football team, you should be at the varsity football games and you should be watching. I truly believe you can't compete at the varsity level if you've never actually sat there and watched and see what it takes to compete at that level. Okay, so invest in the program. You know, those younger guys should be at the varsity level. Varsity guys, turn around and show that support to the younger guys. Come out to those games. You know, support each other. And again, your individual sports program is part of a larger athletic department program here. So support each other. Come out to each other's contests. Okay, again, it's just part of building this pride, an area I think we can constantly improve at. It's something that we're going to hear, you know, not only within athletics, but you know, on the academic side as well. I think it will be a focus this year, just really taking pride in our great school here. Now, the other expectations we have, obviously, behavior-wise, sportsmanship, top of the list. Okay, I'm huge on sportsmanship. I'm the moderator for sportsmanship in the Catholic League with all the other schools with the ADs. It's something that you know, I don't want to ever see us toss aside in pursuit of victory. Okay, we always need to represent ourselves with class. We always need to be doing the right thing out there. Okay, and everybody knows what's right and what's wrong. We don't need to go through that, but just understand that you are always representing St. Lawrence when you're out there. So watch your language, keep the language in check. Okay? Game gets out of hand, you know, the score is maybe a little lopsided. We need to try to beat them on the scoreboard, okay? Not try to just beat them up on the field. Sometimes, you know, you get a little chippy, take cheap shots at guys. That's not what we're about. It reflects poorly on the school. Okay? Social media-wise, this is a whole other area that you guys have to understand. The ramifications of your actions and the fact that you're representing yourself in the school at all times. Okay, be careful what you put out there. All right, use appropriate language. Don't post inappropriate pictures. And understand, nothing really is private. No matter how private you put your settings, the internet is not private, okay? And guys, you probably have heard this message before, but this is one I don't think that we could stress enough, and I don't think you can hear it too many times, okay? So if you don't want others to see it, don't post it, because somebody somewhere will post it. And nothing's ever removed from those sites, okay? Even if you put something, you take it down, if somebody grabs it with a screenshot, whatever it might be, even Snapchat, those things that supposedly disappear, they don't always disappear. If somebody gets a screenshot, it's out there forever, and there's nothing you can do to reverse it. So please use caution when you're on social media. Okay, I think it can be a great tool, can be a great resource. It's a good way for you guys to communicate and connect with each other, but use it appropriately. Okay, and again, as an athlete, you're representing us, you're representing St. Lawrence at all times. Okay, so whether you're actually in competition or in practice or at here at St. Lawrence, people know that you go to St. Lawrence, people know that you're an athlete, so your actions are always reflecting upon yourself and on the school. Now flipping to the parents, what you can expect from our coaches. Okay, first and foremost, that your son is treated with respect. Okay, if you think there's issues with that, go to the coach to address it. If you still think there's issues, that's when you can come to me about that, and we'll make sure that your son is being respected. Okay, communication. There should be good communication coming from the coaches. I like to have this meeting so we can start facilitating communication for the season, and that it should not just end here. We should have communication going throughout the season for everybody. The preseason parent meeting, some of the sports will have that tonight. I believe football has their schedule for another night, but that's very important that you can get sports-specific information and an opportunity to meet the coaches, figure out how to get a hold of the coaches, and ask questions of any of the coaches. You should know your practice times and the game schedules. Now, obviously, those things might change from time to time, but parents need to know that, especially parents of freshmen or any of our students that don't drive and need to be coming to pick up their sons or dropping them off. They need to know what time practice starts, what time it ends. So again, if you're not getting that communication from the coaches, let me know, because they understand that should be shared with you. And also the team rules. It's one thing that they share with the student athletes, but the parents need to know the rules as well. So if there is a violation of a rule, parents are aware from the get-go of what the consequences are going to be. And then finally, from the coaches, your son's safety, again, coming back on that, should always be the #1 priority. Okay, so we'll never jeopardize that. It's always going to be more important to us than winning a game and anything else in athletics, and making sure that your son is safe. And we return home to you in one piece and safe and healthy like they left the house. Now, when those issues do arise, which they can from time to time, this is an important one. And again, we talk about this every year here, but it's one I don't think I can stress enough. Is we got to follow the proper chain of command. This policy is in the handbook, so you can refer to that to see that. But the steps that we have in place. So if there's an issue, or your son perceives there's an issue going on, he needs to